So Dave has the first of our support structure put in. So you've got the wood in there.
Yeah, I glued the wood. I forget who I saw, what video I was watching, but this is how they did it. They put those pieces of wood in there to give me something to put this bendable, flexible material, because I need to space out to get this level.
Yeah.
So this is one of the parts that needs to go in.
Yep. So he's trying to get a good seat and good like structure for the ceiling to go in. We're doing tongue and groove cedar. I say all of the cross ribs are at a slightly different height, so he's had to get really creative to make everything level. And then a piece of wood will go over that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's like a sandwich.
Something to hit on.
Yeah. This is the back side of my ceiling boards. I need 11, so this is 8. I'll have to get 3 more out. This is the front. It's much prettier. But I'm going to sand the backs a little and do 1 coat on the back to help seal them. At least 1 coat, I think 1 should do. Cedar is pretty mold resistant anyway, but that is where I fear condensation the most, is underneath the backs as it goes against the ceiling. And then I will put a lot more coats on the front, and I will sand those as well. Coat number 1 of polyurethane is on my ceiling boards, and this needs to dry, and then I will sand it and put on another coat. So Dave drilled a hole in this piece for the wire to go through, and then we'll cut a notch in this location out of the piece that goes over it, and that will fit in. And he put more wood on top of my original frame because my original frame was set down so far it didn't meet up with the ribs across the ceiling to keep the ceiling beams flat. Dave's using the Play-Doh method to mark where the holes are so he knows where he needs to drill. Another kind of lessons learned is that when you screw these ceiling beams on, sometimes the screws or whatever catch the insulation and kind of suck it back up in there. So I'm going around filling all those empty spots. For my next project, I was cutting pieces of plywood to make my seat box that I will use as a seat and also to hold my diesel heater. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm cutting 2 24 by 24 pieces of wood that will be the top and bottom of my box. And the box is going to be 2 things. It's going to be my seat that I'm going to work on and sit on. It's also going to be, it's going to house my diesel heater. So 24 by 24 for the top and the bottom. And then without cushion, the sides should be about 17 inches tall. So I'll be cutting that out of this piece. I haven't measured those out yet. And then I'll hinge the top so I can get to my heater. And then I got a 5-inch foam and some material. So I'm gonna do a seat. Dave, unlike myself, believes in doing things the right way and twice, so he's making a template out of real wood. so when we get a better piece, it will work. The first wall is framed out. Dave did an awesome job. This looks fantastic. I'm not sure exactly what cabinet, if we're gonna make one or get one and customize it either way. Look at that beautiful wood. It is shiny, shiny. There is my ceiling. Oh yeah. We are using these connectors that have two sides. It's really hard to show close up. And we're wiring it so that we can, because we're starting to put the ceiling in, we want to run it along this rib here so it's tucked up out of the way when we put the ceiling in, so that it will be all ready to go. And we are using a marine grade 2 conductor 14 gauge wiring for the fan and for the lights.
These little things are called lever nuts. You can buy them in a 2 position and a 3 position, and that's what we're going to use for a lot of our wiring in the van.
There we go, unsalted lever nuts. So we've got these with zip ties. Dave loosened this board, so we're running them under there. We're gonna put up our first ceiling board.
Don't hold it, pull the trigger. Push, you gotta push it and then pull the trigger.
Push it and then pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, don't do another one yet. Leave it a little bit off. Okay, that's it right now.
All right. Is it supposed to just slide in?
Yeah. Let me,
Ooh, so pretty.
just kind of all the way down.
Ooh, I have 2 boards on the ceiling. That feels pretty good. And 1 thing wired into our invisible battery. So we have up these 3 small beams, and we put up a few others to see what they look like. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but probably 75% of our build is talking about things and looking at things and thinking and planning and researching, at least 75%. So a lot of this isn't filmed, but it's wouldn't be very interesting to look at us looking at the ceiling for 15 minutes. But right now what we're doing is we're trying to figure out where to put the lights in, because we're gonna have 4 lights and they're gonna go on this first board. So we're gonna put that in and then figure out where we want the light. X marks the spot.
Let's see that tape measure. You want to pull from the edge of this board to your mark and see what that measurement is?
Oh yeah. It is 13.5 inches.
13.5. So we'll make the next one 13.5 over here.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to measure it and not do it right on that because it's just almost exactly 13.5 inches. It's like 13 and
5/8.
yeah. So probably better to stick with 13.5.
Okay, well that's beautiful. So
Yeah.
now we just have to take the light and find the right hole saw.
All right. I'm going to learn to use a bench drill. This particular bench drill, I'm told, is a piece of shit. Does it clamp or do I just hold
No,
it?
you just hold it. And it's going to want to grab. So the on-off is right here.
Uh-huh. Okay, I wasn't recording, but Dave said one of the things to watch out for when using this, we got a piece of scrap wood underneath, is, I'm gonna make sure I'm lined up here. is that it will grab the, wow, it grips. It'll grab the bottom one and spin it. It likes to have fun. Go for a spin. There's a hole. All right, now I'm about to cut into the actual ceiling wood. Beautiful. Holes for the lights. Dave's gonna blow off the dust. Sweet. It's fun to fight with these little springs. When it gets on, it looks like this. A little scratch will buff out. So this is what it's gonna look like with lights in it. And we have to get this one in because we wanna put the next 3 going this way behind the fan, and we need it to line up. We needed this to line up with the ones going next. Otherwise, if we put these in first, that might not line up with those and the front ones. So it's gonna be kind of like a puzzle. And we pulled the little wires out here so that we can wire those lights. A tiny beginning of a ceiling, and it's starting to rain. I don't know if you can see these drips coming in front of the camera. I'm using a Craig jig again, and I am putting 4 sloped holes in this, which is the back of my seat box, so that I can use that plus wood glue to attach it to the bottom.
Get a good positive.
Well,
there you go.
There.
Suck it down better.
cool. So this is the back of my seat box. And now the bottom is 24 by 24. The sides I cut 24 by 24, but these sides are going to have to butt up against the front piece and the back piece. So they actually need to be less than 24. So I'm going to measure, I think these are 3/4, and measure exactly and cut the amount out that I need so that they butt up perfectly. So in the spirit of showing mistakes as well, here is a mistake. So I used 1.5 inch screws with the Craig jig, and these are each 3/4, so 1.5 and 1.5 at that angle poked all the way through. So I'm going to go get, first of all, I'm going to get a Craig jig bit because we've been kind of jerry-rigging some stuff. And then I'm going to also get 1.25 inch screws for it so that I can put some in that won't go all the way through. All right, I just redid it, and now none of them are showing through. Fantastic. What I ended up going with was a 1 inch Craig pocket drill screw instead of the 1.5. All right, I've marked exactly 1.5 inches off of these. So I'm going to cut them shorter, and then I will put the sides on the box. Okay, so this is the inside and it's gonna fit like this. So I put 3 Craig jig screws there and 3 on the bottom. But first I'm gonna run a bead of wood glue around it. I have my glue. Well, there are the back and the sides. I've got the pocket holes drilled. All I need to do is put the glue on the front and screw it on. Dave has the whole center of the ceiling in. It's already wired to the lights and he's working on the second 2. All right, we're gonna test the fan. Oh, it's beautiful. There we go. I'll shut that again so that it doesn't get all full of rain. It is working perfectly. Lights, action. Now we're testing the lights. Ah! There's my lid, and there is my box. I have 2 layers of stain on it, and I'm gonna put a coat of polyurethane so that it's shiny and pretty. I'm gonna make the cushion for the top. We'll go in there, and that will be that until I'm ready to cut a hole in for my diesel heater. Like a glove.
Yeah.
While Dave works on that part of the ceiling, I'm going to measure the depth that the whole cover needs to go and trim it so that I can install the cover of the fan. That'll look nice. All right, my next project is to trim down this cover that goes over the fan. It is too large to fit in what we have, but it's made that way so that if you have really thick insulation or something, you might need more of it. So I'm cutting it down to 3.5 inches, which is right about where the cord goes into it. So instead of cutting a little gap to keep from like pushing the cord into the bottom, or pushing it up, I guess that's not really the bottom, I'm going to do right at 3.5. So it should just kind of sit on the cord, be seated for all of the rest of it, and I'll screw it in. It should look great. Let's hope I can do this without butchering it. We're gonna pretend like it's not crooked. That is looking beautiful. Just beautiful. Nice work. I'm just getting the sharp edges kind of filed down gently, so there's no sharp bits up in there. where my cuts didn't measure. I'm concerned about where my cuts didn't meet. There's like a sharp edge there, a tiny step. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check and make sure that my cut work out. And I'm going to put the shortest edge right there, which works out just fine. And it sits right up flush against the ceiling, so I did it right. Now I can screw it in. I know, like a glove. I'm actually kind of surprised. Okay, I pre-drilled it, and now we're ready to screw it in.
I want to set the choker down a little bit so
Set it to what?
it doesn't over tighten that. 4 or 5 or something.
4 or 5 down here?
Yeah.
That was better.
Yes. If you wouldn't have set it down, it would have.
Should I do the opposite corner first?
Sure,
or-
whichever one. Doesn't matter.
Does it matter?
No.
Okay. That was better.
Sure. Voila.
There she is. We finally completed the ceiling fan. So we've tested it, installed it, and screwed on the pretty cover, and the ceiling is looking phenomenal. Oh, this is exciting. We're leaving the last couple pieces of the ceiling off because we need to run some more electric up there. Notably, the solar needs to come down through that side. So this is as far as we're getting on this particular episode of the van build for the ceiling. But it's looking great. We have really made some progress.